So yeah, I switched from focusing on my YouTube account to my TikTok account, and within like a month and a half, I went from having a very modest following on TikTok to over 100,000 followers on my TikTok account, and I have been making rent every week in terms of the amount of monetization. Hey everyone, it's Chrysantilus coming to you live from the beautiful mountains of Oaxaca, Mexico. I wanted to give y'all an update on what I've been up to. I've been pretty much backpacking across Mexico, making a living off of TikTok, and I'm kind of spooked by some things that have been going on with my YouTube channel. So I just wanted to clear the air. And if you're new here, welcome. Chrysantilus is a realm of all good things psychedelic. It is all about demystifying and destigmatizing the trip. So if that's up your alley, please be sure to hit subscribe, and thank you for being here. So, like the title of this video says, I recently came into a lot of success on my TikTok channel, and basically the TLDR is like I am making in one day or one night on TikTok what it takes me to make in a month on YouTube on a good month. The level of monetization on TikTok right now is just, it's obviously why Meta and all these other entities don't want it to be a thing, because it is financially supporting creators, small creators. You can grow from zero. I grew my TikTok channel literally from zero to over 100,000 followers. And you guys know, I've put in so much work on this YouTube channel. It took me years, since 2019 to like the end of last year, to even hit 10K on YouTube. And for the quality of the content that I'm putting out on my YouTube channel, I just have to say it does not make sense. Now, I don't want to spook anybody out in terms of not posting anymore. I still am going to continue to post to my YouTube channel. I think I just might need to pivot my content a bit in terms of focusing more on just like updating you guys, featuring my life, maybe more op-eds and stuff like that, because just the education I'm putting out there, the videos that I've been doing as usual, not only am I getting less engagement for them, less and less engagement, I'm also getting YouTube community guidelines violations for the first time, which is really scary to me. So I put out an ad recently that advertised two different legal mushroom tinctures. One was reishi, one was chaga. And for that, YouTube gave me a community guidelines violation strike on my account. I appealed it, letting them know, like, hey, all the mushrooms here are totally legal. And they still stuck with their decision. So now I have a guideline strike for doing something that is not actually against guidelines. Whereas on TikTok, if I ever have a strike, 99% of my appeals go through. I think there was maybe one video where my appeal didn't go through and didn't make it. So I've just been finding YouTube as a not as supportive environment. And a lot of the other YouTubers that I know, most of them are women like myself, many of them in like the organic, psychedelic, magical sort of niche. Um, they are not getting the views that they should be getting on YouTube. They are not getting the support that they should be getting on YouTube. And so I'm seeing this as a pattern for myself and also my community of fellow trip tubers. So in February, just as an experiment, I decided to pivot my social media strategy. Instead of focusing on my YouTube account, I switched it and I started focusing on my TikTok account just to see what would happen. Also, side note, I do one-on-one social media consultations with clients, and I've been suggesting to everybody that they focus on their TikTok account if they really want to make money. And so I was like, you know what? Let me start taking some of my advice. So yeah, I switched from focusing on my YouTube account to my TikTok account, and within like a month and a half, I went from having a very modest following on TikTok to over 100,000 followers on my TikTok account. And I have been making rent every week in terms of the amount of monetization that I've been able to get. Just to add, this is all just me starting off. This is just the beginning of me really focusing on my TikTok account, I've been able to come to Mexico. I'm staying here for a really long time because I can now afford to do it more easily. I really had a lot of hope for YouTube as a platform to give greater exposure to up and coming creators, but I feel like the only place now that's really suggesting new creators is TikTok. I hate to say it, but for the people I know who are new to YouTube, they're sort of explaining it to me like it feels like it's too late to hop on this train, which I really hate to hear. It took, I think, way too much to even get to 10K on here. And so they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this is very much a situation where I would say it is broke. A lot of the times, people who discover my channel ask me why I don't have a greater viewership. The viewership I have on YouTube, I'm super grateful for, but having done this consistently since 2019, it just doesn't make sense. The viewership I have on TikTok makes sense for how much effort I put into my TikTok. The views I have on YouTube, they also don't make sense. The monetization I have on YouTube, it doesn't make sense. I have over 500 videos here, and they are just really not getting pushed out. They're really not getting seen, with the exception of a few. I also find that there's a much greater sense of community on TikTok right now than there is amongst YouTube channels and YouTube creators. I do have community on YouTube, but I would say it isn't as vast and supportive and even just like goofy and fun. Like TikTok is a place that's so deeply unserious. I love TikTok because everybody of every different lived experience, background, ability can really have their place in the sun over there. And on YouTube, that just doesn't feel like the case. Like we don't have the same amount of variety. And I experienced that as a creator who like hasn't gotten popular on YouTube, you know? And I look at the psychedelic channels that have done really well on YouTube and are able to like hire a team and like grow and all this kind of stuff. And there is a distinct difference between my lived experience and the lived experience of those creators. And that's not to throw shade. But that's just to say, especially people from more marginalized backgrounds right now, I think are finding greater success on TikTok. At least that's been my experience. Okay, now that I have sort of my complaints out of the way of what I've been experiencing and sort of like going through and all that kind of stuff, I'd like to focus on the positive side of my current creator journey. First off, I'm here. I'm literally exactly in the place in the world where I have been wanting to get back to since I was a child. I'm literally in Mexico. I would not have been able to take this trip or this journey, especially for so long, without my recent successes on TikTok. I always kind of held out hope that this would be the result of my YouTube account and my YouTube success, but I feel like you can't keep going back to the same table and expect to be fed if you've never been fed at that table. And I will say this, the only time that I've experienced like a really big uptick in my views on this channel is when I have worked with other bigger creators like my friend Ladia Organica, who y'all know and love, and different people like that. But that strategy is not sustainable because, as I always tell my clients, like you have to be the one, you have to be the main person, and there's only a limited amount of collabs that I can realistically do in a month or even a year. I do feel like my friends who are doing video essay content are still doing reasonably well on YouTube. I will say that's like an exception to the rule that I've seen. But yeah, when I've tried to do video essays about my niche, it hasn't performed so well. But yeah, I've been having such a great time on TikTok recently. My main strategy has pivoted to focusing on my lives more and live monetization and just having a good time and being myself on TikTok live, and it's been great. Like I started my Mexico trip last week. I started in Oaxaca City, Mexico. I've always wanted to go to Oaxaca, and I had an incredible time. I learned different crafts from different artisans. I learned beadworking from an incredible artist named Pedro. I learned pottery from an incredible third generation artist named Teresa. I learned traditional Mexican medicine, something very similar to almost like Ayurveda, from an incredible woman named Shadi. I've just had the best time in Mexico. I've really just been connecting with the people out here, the culture of everybody, just being able to talk to everybody. Like, you eating pizza and you're just talking to the person at the table next to you for the whole, dinner. I feel so much better in my body. I went on a hike yesterday, y'all. I hiked all the way up a mountain. It kicked it kicked my ass. Like, I was literally hiking for my life up this mountain. And there are so many times that I wanted to give up. I didn't, and I made it. And I made it to the top of this mountain. And yeah, I've just been having a really healing time connecting with this land and the indigenous people of this land. And my friend Melanie, who y'all might recognize from some videos that we did on moon cycles and plant medicine, she's out here with me. We are having just really, truly the best time together. And I hate to come on YouTube and say that that's all because of TikTok, but actually, I don't hate to come on YouTube and say that's all because of TikTok, because I all I can offer you on my channel is to keep it completely real. My YouTube channel has been a labor of love, especially in terms of getting out education about journeying and safety, and even the fun events that I go to in psychedelic community and all that kind of stuff. It's been really a labor of love, but it hasn't made me any sort of income that would be sustainable if I continued to focus on it. So that's that's the situation. That's where we're at with YouTube. I love you guys. I love all my subscribers. I'm going to still make videos. I'm going to still be on here. But to anybody who's looking at becoming a content creator, I would say give the most to the platform that is responding the most to you. And for me right now, that's not Instagram, that's not YouTube, that's not Facebook, that's not any of these, traditional platforms that I've been really devoting myself to since, especially since 2019. It's been TikTok, you know, and I feel the least censored on YouTube and TikTok, but I'm not getting the audience that I get on TikTok on YouTube, despite the quality of content being the same, despite all these other things. And so, yeah, it's definitely bittersweet. And for anybody who is about to comment, oh, what about the ban? You guys, they propose a TikTok ban every year. And it's just something that we're going to have to keep dealing with every year as it gets proposed. But there are already senators who blocked the bill, and those senators have vowed to do it every single time it is reintroduced into the Senate. I don't even think that's something the Senate's really worrying about or even talking about right now. But for now, where we're at now, like, TikTok is really truly just the place to be. And I want to further document my journey of like creating on TikTok and what I've been able to do traveling throughout Mexico, experiencing the world, and just living out my truth in terms of my content, where my content takes me, all that kind of stuff. I still want to share that on YouTube. I'm just sort of worried with the state of my channel and if my channel will be able to sustain and survive further censoring on YouTube, because my channel has mostly been a psychedelics and plant sacred earth medicine sort of channel, and if I have to pivot my strategy, I don't know that that's even something that I would want to do. But I definitely will be talking more about just my journey, content creation, and if you are interested in booking a session with me, you can find the link in my bio. Book a session. I do 1 hour one-on-ones at an affordable sliding scale cost. And if you're interested in growing your TikTok especially, but also your YouTube or whatever else you might be interested in growing, please be sure to check out that link. Thank you guys for joining this video today. I'm having such an amazing time in the mountains. It is really, really beautiful out here. The people are so beautiful. Everything is just like chef's kiss, top shelf, top shelf experience, y'all. And I'd say if you're interested in the culture and the lineage of the medicine, there are different, like very magical towns out here, pueblos mágicos, that you can come to and learn more about the medicine. And that's what I'm doing. So instead of telling it on here, I'm sort of living it and studying it, which is really fun. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe. Y'all can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Chrysantilus. I also have a Patreon page where you can DM me, and I have exclusive merch and community over there. And then yeah, I will drop the link for my shop in my bio if you want merch. I have to share this. I have new merch out, which is my Sailor Chrysantilus shirt. I designed it myself. It's just me as Sailor Moon, Sailor Chrysantilus, and that is now currently in my merch shop. Thank you guys for listening to my experience, my journey. Um, Hopefully things can turn around with my YouTube channel, but until they do, catch me on TikTok Live as well. I typically go live Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday nights. When I'm in Mexico, it depends because sometimes the Wi-Fi isn't always there. But yeah, I will see you guys around, and be sure to keep it trippy. Peace.